Hey, what's up? This is Robert, and this is Carl with the Skeptical Scotsman. Say hi to the masses that's going to be watching us eventually.
Ah, I had to throw that out there. I just had to be goofy because yeah, I was incredibly tired today. I did a lot of fixing of things since I'm a maintenance man.
Ah,
Yeah,
so uh, yeah, this is the name of this episode is the country doomed under a second Trump term? Personally, I think it is doomed. Um, because you have the one of the chief architects of the Project 2025 that has been nominated for director of the OMB, basically Office of Management and Budget, and he is in the back pocket of big oil and gas, and he's actually made the statement over last year. Oil and gas is the key, is the way of the future. Get used to it. Green energy is a fad. It's
no, green energy is something we should have invested in back in the early 2000s, but we got sidetracked by, let's see, 9/11, and then Bush using the United States military to make claim on oil fields in Afghanistan, in the Middle East, in the greater area. And so, why would he push green energy when he's an oil man himself?
yeah,
And I've heard that directly from people who were in the military, and they were literally told by the higher ups, "Okay, you got this oil field. You're going to stand guard of it. Make sure nobody else takes it." That's all they did, is guard an oil field for a company.
wow,
Yeah, I've heard that directly from troops who were there. So yeah, I when people say, "Oh, green is a fad," no, it's where we need to be. But oil people who want to be fat, rich, and wealthy all want money, and they won't invest
yeah,
the money into improving green technology to make it viable because then they wouldn't be rich anymore.
yeah. He and apparently under the last Trump term, he was the assistant director of the OMB. I don't know who the actual director was, but he was like right under the actual director of OMB, and and,
That was you, not
and
me.
like I know Doug Burgum. His confirmation hearing was today for the Secretary of the Interior, and basically, the Department of Land Management, and he's already gone on to say that he's going to open up federal lands for the oil companies if he gets confirmed.
Well, the problem is you're looking at another oil rush like we had at the turn of the last century, not this most recent one from 25 years ago, but the
Yeah,
one that was 125 years ago. Um, Back when oil barons were making a shitload of money back in, like, what is it, the 1860s, all the way up to the turn of the century,
yeah,
when they were over harvesting the oil and making uh, oil rigs too close together. And at one point, there was, like, I think, a huge fire in Oklahoma or Texas
yeah,
because they had sites literally so close to each other that if one caught on fire, the other one did too. Created a huge fucking fire.
oh wow,
It's amazing what you do. It's amazing what you can know if you read just a little bit of history and watch a few choice movies that everybody else has forgotten about, like the same movie that there was a movie back in the day that starred Robert Preston from way back when, where
yeah,
it talked about harvesting oil and then soil erosion and how to prevent that, and everybody's forgotten about it. Mind you, Robert
damn,
Preston's an old ass reference, so
yeah.
you
Now
might
I'm
know
gonna
him
play this.
best. You might know him
Yeah,
best from the last Starfighter.
Oh, that was a long ass time ago.
Yeah, the guy who gets Alex Rogan to join up with the Starfighter League. I
Yeah,
think it's Alpha Centauri is his name. Alpha Centauri
yeah.
is Robert Preston. He also played the original Music Man on Broadway and in the original Music Man back in the 60s and 70s. Yeah,
Well,
I've
that's
got some
cool.
education here.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna get in this clip real quick, and I want you to I want you to tell me what you think of Pam Bondi in this clip.
Alrighty.
Senator Whitehouse.
Thank you, Chairman. Welcome, Ms. Bondi.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for meeting with me. I greatly appreciate that.
It was a pleasure. Ms. Bondi, you were a courtroom prosecutor for a great many years. As a courtroom prosecutor, did you ever have an enemies list?
No, Senator.
And you want to be Florida's Attorney General. As Florida's Attorney General, did you ever have an enemies list?
No, Senator.
As Florida's Attorney General, you were responsible for hiring into the Florida Department of Attorney General.
Senator, the Attorney General's office in Florida is the third largest in the state, approximately 1,400 employees and approximately 400 lawyers. Only California and Texas are our bigger offices.
And you were responsible
yes.
for hiring into that office while you were Attorney General?
Yes.
Would you
Senator.
have hired someone into the Florida Attorney General's office who you knew had an enemies list?
Senator, to cut to the chase, you're clearly talking about Kash Patel. I don't believe he has an enemies list. He made a quote on TV, which I have not heard. I saw your sign, or Senator Durbin's sign, about Kash. But I know that Kash Patel has had 60 jury trials as a public defender, as a prosecutor. He has great experience in the Intel Department, Department of Defense. I have known Kash, and I believe that Kash is the right person at this time for this job. You'll have the ability to question Mr. Patel.
And I'm questioning you right now
do.
about whether you will enforce an enemies list that he announced publicly on television.
Oh, Senator, I'm sorry. There will never be an enemies list within the Department of Justice.
Thank you.
That's why she took so long to answer
The FBI's,
Yeah.
What is the FBI's role in national security and counterterrorism, and how important is that role?
You know, Senator, I believe now more than ever, counterterrorism is so important and vital in our country. We are facing such incredible threats here and abroad. If I'm sure many of you saw former FBI Director Wray's interview on 60 Minutes, he talked about the threats that, frankly, I don't have my security clearance,
Yeah,
but the
but
threats
given that-
facing us, Senator, from China right now that are so great.
Given
the
that-
sleeper cells within our country.
Given that importance, is it responsible to call for shutting down the FBI's counterterrorism and national security work? And will you, as Attorney General, impede or shut down the FBI's counterterrorism and national security work?
Senator,
questions.
Senator, I believe that national security is vital right now for our country on so many fronts. I could continue to discuss
And the
many
FBI's
others.
role in that,
And the FBI plays a vital role in counterterrorism
which you
throughout
will
our
or will
world.
not shut down?
I will look at each agency. I have no intention of shutting anything down right now, Senator. I am not in that office yet, and if confirmed, I will look
See,
at
she said
each
yet right there.
individual agency and how it should be managed. But counterterrorism right now in our world is vital.
You have said that Department of Justice prosecutors will be prosecuted in the Trump administration. What Department of Justice prosecutors will be prosecuted and why?
I said that on TV. I said prosecutors will be prosecuted to finish the quote, it's bad. Investigators will be investigated. You know, we all take an oath, Senator, to uphold the law. None of us are above the law. Let me give you a really good example of a bad lawyer within the Justice Department, a guy named Klein Smith, who altered a FISA warrant, one of the most important things we can do in this country. So will everyone be held to an equal equal, fair system of justice. If I am the next Attorney General, absolutely, and no one is above the law.
Under what
really answer that
circumstances will
question,
you
though.
prosecute journalists for what they write?
No.
I believe in the freedom of speech. Only if anyone commits a crime. It's pretty basic, Senator, with anything, with any victim. And this goes back to my entire career for 18 years as a prosecutor and then 8 years as Florida Attorney General. You find the fact of the case, you apply the law in good faith, you treat everyone fairly.
And
He's actually discussed it by having said that.
it would not be appropriate for a prosecutor to start with a name and look for a crime. It's a prosecutor's job to start with a crime and look for a name, correct?
Senator, I think that is the
He's
whole
lying.
problem with the weaponization that we have seen the last 4 years and what's
Everything
been happening
government
to
right then
Donald
is
Trump.
lying.
They targeted Donald Trump. They went after him, actually starting back in 2016. They targeted his campaign. They have launched countless investigations against him. That will not be the case if I am Attorney General. I will not politicize that office. I will not target
lying.
people simply because of their political affiliation. Justice will be administered even-handedly throughout this country. Senator, we've got to bring this country back together. We've got to move forward, or we're going to lose our country.
Yeah, I think the
Why the fuck
concern
did
is
I Trump in
that
the office then?
weaponization of the Justice Department may well occur under your tenure. And we want to make sure that that's not the
It's already
case, that you
weaponized.
remain independent, that you remain able to and willing to tell the
been
president
weaponized.
no when that's
By then.
necessary to protect the Constitution and the integrity of the department. So that's where I'm asking these questions. We talked in the meeting about the contacts policy that has prevailed really since Senator Hatch sat in that chair and demanded it of the Clinton Justice Department through all the administration since then, with the exception of a brief period under Attorney General Gonzalez, which he corrected and which did not end well for him. There has been a contacts policy that limits contacts between the White House and the Department of Justice to a very few senior officials on each side. In your role as Attorney General, if you are confirmed, will you maintain, defend, and enforce that longstanding contacts policy?
Senator, yes, I will meet with White House counsel and I will meet with the appropriate officials and follow the contacts
lying.
policy.
My time has expired. Thank you, Ms. Bondi.
Senator Cornyn.
She lied a third of the time she was talking.
Yeah, I know.
You're the one who
Yeah,
did that,
I
not
know.
me. Yeah, she was lying, and apparently he's a good old boy Republican, or whatever the hell he is.
He's a
because
Democrat.
He's a Democrat asking soft-boiled egg questions.
Yeah, he was a
They're
Democrat.
not calling her out for lying.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, no. Those were
Yeah, he was-
softball-
yeah, that was a
those were
Democrat.
softball questions, and her answers, she was lying a third of the time. Why didn't he call her out on that?
Yeah, I know. And you heard him call Kash Patel out about the enemies list, and she defended Kash Patel.
Because they're all part of the MAGA head movement, and they're all out to protect their own. I don't think he has an enemies list. All of anybody that Trump has trying to get into the government has an enemies
Mhm.
list. And you'll have to give me a moment. I gotta go take care of something for like 3 seconds here.
Okay.
Talk about what you thought about the video.
Personally, I think that she's lying to get past confirmation. That's what I think. I think she's lying to get past confirmation.
Just like the 3 justices that Trump got in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Okay, now what I find funny is that she makes a statement, and
Yeah.
the entire time she's leaning in, and as soon as she makes there was one comment where she ended it, and then she leaned way farther back than what she needed to. Instantly,
Yeah.
she's lying.
Yeah.
Another one of those questions. She didn't look at any of the panel. She looked below the eye line of all of them. She was lying.
Oh yeah, I know.
So yeah, this.
You heard what she said about she's not going to touch any of the departments yet because she's not in office.
Yeah, and she'll say whatever, Cody Barrett, she'll lie about whatever the hell she needs to get in that position just to get in it. And apparently people aren't smart enough with psychology because they're too busy trying to figure out laws to really read somebody's body language. Her body language was saying, I'm lying, you need to fucking accept it, period, because I'm in charge. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you, lady? I mean, if she had not moved her hands so pointedly and very otrically, I might actually believe her. But her body language says that she is lying her ass off just to get confirmed to get in that office. That way she can do Trump's bidding.
Yeah.
And Trump has already sworn that he will fucking take down his political opponents. Well, the government doesn't need to be, these government agencies don't need to be weaponized. He's the one that weaponized them. If Biden had weaponized the government, where would Trump be right now?
Yeah, he wouldn't be in office. He'd be in jail. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I said he wouldn't be in office. He'd be in jail.
He wouldn't have even made the presidential race. He would be arrested, or he'd be in jail, or dead.
Yeah.
One of those two. So him saying they're using it. No, he made the Department of Justice a weaponized thing. He did all that, and then he goes off telling everybody they're out to get me. No, they're not. You want to own everybody. There's a difference. And that's the sad part, because everybody who's in MAGA in the government is college educated, and they're still dumb as a doorstep. Doorsteps are smarter than them. At least they know when to fail.
Yeah, no, I was reading an article yesterday. Elon Musk, when for this whole Doge thing that's going on, Elon Musk is bringing 1,000 workers with him that was hired, guess through where? The conservative LinkedIn, which is basically vetted through the Heritage Foundation.
Well, when people finally realize what's going on, it'll be far too late. Like, I've been speaking about the evils of the first Trump empire since it happened, and been forecasting the second one, have I not?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it can't not happen. But the likelihood of it turning into something we don't want it to be is very likely, given what there is now.
Yeah, well, like before you got here, I was reading an article, and apparently Trump has already approached Mike Johnson about the 22nd Amendment, because apparently he's wanting to. He's wanting where a president shall not be elected for a third term.
You don't.
Yeah,
Trump isn't going to try to get a third term because it's unconstitutional. That's why it was passed.
He's already talking to Mike Johnson
Which
about
amendment?
the 22nd.
Give me a second.
Because he thinks that because he's not a back-to-back president, he would be able to run for another term.
No, that's not the way it works. It was clearly outlined. Literally, it was clearly outlined. And we don't need after this fucking presidential term. I think we're going to be lucky to see any kind of simple like United States or anything like that, because he's only out to collect fealty from everybody, and he wants to collect all the power he can. His best bet right now is to die in office. That way, he never has to serve prison time. Because as of right now, as soon as his ass is out of office, he will be in prison.
Yeah, let me read you that article real quick. Okay. How Trump could try to stay in power after his second term ends. Think Donald Trump can't be president after his second term is up in January 2029? Think again. When President-elect Donald Trump met with congressional Republicans shortly after his November 2024 election victory, he floated the idea of another term. I suspect I won't be running again unless you say. He's talking to the Republicans in the House. Unless you say he's so good, we've got to figure something else out. At first glance, this seems like an obvious joke. The 22nd Amendment.
It takes 2/3 of Congress to pass that.
Yeah, the 22nd Amendment.
It's not 2/3 of the House and then 2/3 of the Senate. It's 2/3 of Congress. Period. To pass, they do not have that number.
No. The 22nd Amendment to the Constitution is clear that Trump cannot be elected again. The text of the amendment states, "No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term which some other person was elected president shall not be elected to the office of the president for more than once." That amendment was passed in response to Franklin Roosevelt's four elections to the presidency. Since George Washington had stepped down at the end of his second term, no president had sought a third term, much less a fourth. The amendment was clearly meant to prevent presidents.
Do you know why they allowed him to run that many times?
World War II was going on.
No. Good try, but no. First, he's the president who took over during the Great Depression and single-handedly pulled our asses out of that. Then World War II came, and he was still in office until the end of that. And then,
Okay, we have a question. Do you guys think another term of Biden would be any better than another term of Trump?
Yes. It wouldn't be like the Obama years or anything, but it wouldn't be the chaotic fucking shit show it is.
Yeah, Biden or Trump, which one would you pick?
You take this first.
I would pick anybody but Biden or anybody but Trump. Hell, I voted for RFK Jr., which I now regret.
Yeah, because that gets straight to Trump. I wouldn't vote for either one of them. If you're like putting a gun to my head, okay, since I don't want Trump back in office, Biden, but Biden's not a real viable option at his age. The guy makes gaffes look like fucking normal everyday thing.
Okay, question from Swamp. What was your highest point and lowest point of the Biden administration? I think my lowest point would have to be the Afghan withdrawal. Where 13 Gold Star, where 13 soldiers were killed at Abbey Gate. I think that would be my lowest point, and I think the highest point would be the second stimulus checks.
My low point would be when every company in the fucking world tried to get back the dead money that was lost to COVID, and they jacked the shit out of prices. That way they can get all the money they lost in COVID back, which was dead money to begin with. And the high point was when he stepped out of the way and let Kamala Harris run for office.
Now, I do have a follow-up question with that. Do you think that he stepped out too late? Because she only had 90 days to run the
I
run
think
her
he should have
campaign.
stepped out a little earlier, yes. Instead of saying, well, I'm going to run again, I have to run again. He was like, dude, you're fucking 80. You'll be dead
I'm the only
tomorrow.
one who can beat Trump. Yeah, he's like, I'm the only one who can beat Trump.
At this point, I don't expect either man to live through this presidency shit.
Carlos says, my lowest point of Biden's term is when he couldn't find the stairs.
Well, Trump couldn't either after having COVID, so... I mean, Trump couldn't walk down a ramp, let alone stairs, after having COVID. So go figure that one out.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm going to finish reading this article real quick. That amendment was, we talked about Franklin Roosevelt. The amendment was clearly meant to prevent presidents from serving more than 2 terms in office. Because Trump has been elected president twice already, the plain language of the amendment bars him from being elected a third time. Yeah, some have argued that since Trump's term was non-consecutive, the amendment doesn't apply to him.
Doesn't matter.
But the amendment makes no distinction between consecutive or non-consecutive terms in office.
It's not meant
Though
to.
though the 22nd Amendment prohibits Trump from being elected president again, it does not prohibit him from serving as president beyond January 20th, 2029. The reason for this is that the 22nd Amendment only prohibits someone from being elected more than twice. It says nothing about someone becoming president in some other way than being elected to the office.
Now stop. Stop.
Okay.
Stop. How do you become president?
Okay. Elected.
So, avoiding an election means you're not the president, right?
Yeah.
So that last whole fucking paragraph you just read, the last sentence, is completely fucking just throw it away. Forget it. We're trying to figure out a way so he can stay in office without being elected. A president has to be elected either by popular vote or electoral vote to be president. Period.
Yeah.
The end. And that's what the Constitution says clearly.
Yes.
So then trying to figure out a way around it is bullshit. You can continue.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're calling it skirting the rules. There are a few potential alternate scenarios under normal circumstances. They would be next to impossible, but Donald Trump has never been a normal president. On issue after issue, Trump has pushed the outer limits of presidential power. Most importantly, he has already shown his willingness to bend or even break the law to stay in office. And while Trump claims he's only joking when he floats the idea of a third term, he has a long history of using jokes as a way of floating trial balloons. Furthermore, once he leaves office, Trump could once again face the prospect of criminal prosecution or possibly jail time, further motivating him to stay in power. As Trump's second term progresses, don't be surprised if Americans hear more about how he might try to stay in office. Here is what the Constitution says about that prospect. 9 people have served as president without first being elected to that office. John Tyler, Millard Fillmore, Andrew Johnson, Chester Arthur, Theodore Roosevelt, Calvin Coolidge.
You know how all those people got into office?
How? Elections?
Because their predecessors died or resigned.
Yeah.
That would exclude Trump, because if he's the president He
Mhm.
can't run for vice president, which would put him third in line to or second line to presidency again. Yeah, no.
Yeah, because it mentions Harry Truman, Lyndon Johnson, Gerald Ford. All, like you just said, all were vice presidents
He
who
cannot
stepped
run
into the
for vice
office when their
president.
predecessors either died or resigned. Yep.
Yeah, he cannot run for vice president or speaker of the House because those would mean if anything happened to anybody who followed after him with him in those positions, that would make him president again, which is illegal and unconstitutional. So he should just go the hell away.
Yep. The 22nd Amendment does not bar a term limited president from being elected vice president. On the other hand, the 12th Amendment does state that no person constitutionally ineligible to the office of president shall be eligible to that of vice president.
When did they
of the
lower
United
the age
States.
of being the president?
Huh?
When did they lower the age of being the president?
I don't know.
The last time I checked, it was you had to be 40 years old.
Now it's 35.
No, that's just what this fucking article says. I checked on it like 3 months ago, and it was 40 years old.
Wow. Yeah, it's not clear whether this restriction applies to a two-term president who is ineligible for a third term because of the 22nd Amendment, or whether it merely imposes on the vice president the Constitution's other criteria for president eligibility, name that they be a natural-born citizen of the United States, at least 35 years of age, and have lived in the United States for at least 14 years. That question would have to be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court should the justices decide in Trump's favor, as they have recently on questions regarding the 14th Amendment as insurrection clause and presidential immunity. Then the 2024 ticket of Trump-Vance could become the 2028 ticket of Vance-Trump. If elected, Vance could then resign and make Trump the president again. But Vance would not even have to resign in order for a Vice President Trump to exercise the power of the presidency. The 25th Amendment to the Constitution states that if a president declares that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of the office, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the Vice President as acting president. In fact, the U.S. has had 3 such acting presidents: George H.W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and Kamala Harris. All of them held presidential power for a brief period when the sitting president underwent anesthesia during medical procedures. Cheney did it twice.
Are you buying this conspiracy theorist crap?
No.
Like, this is literally written by somebody who believes that Trump can take power, even if he runs as vice president.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't be able to legally or constitutionally run for president.
Yeah.
Or take over because he's already been president twice. He would be banned.
Yep.
That's why he shouldn't be able to serve as vice president or speaker of the House, because those are the next 2 viable jobs. And he would just make everybody keep stepping down until he died.
Yep.
Just walk away and die, dude.
I'd like to submit for the record signatures by 32 members of the House of Representatives who are veterans. The signatures call on the Senate to honor the constitutional duty of advise and consent by conducting a fair, thorough confirmation process that evaluates his nomination solely on the substance and merits. His distinguished military service, academic credentials, and a bold vision for revitalizing the national defense. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record.
Without objection.
There's a lot of talk going about talking about qualifications, and then about us
Stop for a
hiring
second.
him if we are the board. But there's a lot of senators here I wouldn't have on my board.
Now, to Carla's comment, you guys sound like you're worried about Trump running for president again. He can't run again. Don't worry. I'm not worried about him running again. God takes 2/3 majority of Congress in totality. What I'm
Yeah.
worried about is them trying to put him on a Vance ticket and then Vance steps aside so Trump can come in. And this
Yeah.
person writing this article obviously thinks that's a loophole. It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not even looking forward to this turn of his administration, let alone the first one. But yeah, that's what I'm saying is I'm not worried about him taking office. It's these people who think, well, he can do this and this and that. He can't. He's ineligible. He can't be
Yep.
vice president. He can't be Speaker of the House, and he can't be president again, because that would put him into a direct line of the presidency. And if Republicans maintain control, everyone would just step out of the way to let him run things. That's not constitutionally allowed.
Yeah.
Okay, you can continue with the video.
Swamp Rose said, "Good point, Carl. That's fair."
I'm only speaking legally and constitutionally at this point, from my understanding of the Constitution and law at this point. So,
because there is no qualifications except your age, and you got to be living in the state and you're a citizen of the United States to be a senator. Other than the fact we got to convince a lot of people to vote for us. And then when we start talking about qualifications for if you're qualified for it, could the chairman tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense? Mr. Chairman, could you tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense?
I'd be happy
I'll read it
for you to do that.
Yeah. Let me read it for you, because I Googled
I
it.
was getting some advice from
I
my
understand
second
that.
in command.
Yeah, but I'm just making a point, because there's a lot about qualifications, and I think it's so hypocritical.
Okay.
regarding Trump's upcoming term, what are you looking forward to the most, and what are you looking forward to the least? That's a loaded fucking question for me. What are you looking forward to the least and most from the Trump presidency?
The most, I can't wait for 2028 to get here.
Okay, and the least?
The least is what I heard about him wanting to cut funding for Medicaid and a bunch of other stuff to give his rich friends freaking tax breaks. Because
billionaires who don't have to pay taxes, giving them tax breaks more than they already have, so they get even wealthier on tax cuts they don't need. My most looked forward to moment is either his death or assassination. I hate to say it, but that's honest.
Mhm.
And my least favorite moment of his presidency will be him being in the White House. Honestly, that's like the worst part of it. Him being there. Again.
Swamp says I could use a tax break.
Us poor peons don't get a tax break. If you're a billionaire,
Yeah.
they'll give you every tax break in the book. You can have all your money, and look, here's our nation's wealth. Keep taking it. Fucking swallow it.
Yeah, because when I saw that yesterday, they're wanting to take $700 billion from Medicaid, which is going to kick not only my wife off of Medicaid, but it's going to kick my daughter off of it too, which pisses me off.
I get it. You're upset, but you're not near upset enough.
And then they want to take $150 billion out of the Affordable Care Act.
Because it's the one thing Trump didn't manage. Trump promised he would wipe out Obamacare in less than a year. He spent 4 years trying to remove it, couldn't. The only way to get rid of certain programs, the only way to get rid of certain things and achieve other promises he made, is to gut the American people out of the money they're paying into the system to give it to people who don't need a tax break at all. You could give Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos 100% taxes on their income for the next 5 years. Wouldn't even dent their bank account. What administration is responsible for the current inflation? Oh, you want to answer that?
I'll let you answer that.
The reason inflation is so bad isn't because of a presidential administration. It's because of policymakers and lobbyists who want to maintain their company's wealth. Like the reason egg prices are currently skyrocketing isn't because of any fucking thing to do with the oil prices in fucking Saudi Arabia or California. Egg prices have gone up because some dipshit decided not to report that his birds had avian flu and let other birds catch it and fly off with it. Now our zoo is closed, like Sedgwick County Zoo. Its aviary exhibits are closed. You can't go into them because the birds are all in quarantine.
Wow.
And with all those birds dying and hatcheries killing off millions of chickens that can lay eggs, because that lowers supply, what does that do?
Because doesn't that drive the prices up?
It drives the price up because there's an increased demand to keep eggs on the shelf, right?
Yes.
It's not an administration's fault that certain prices went up. It's greedy corporations who want to still make as much profit as they were before without losing anything.
Yeah.
Like, if you notice, the price of chicken has actually gone up.
Yeah.
Like, it's gone up 1/3 here. The price of eggs is now stupid how high they are.
Oh, dude, I went to when we got our food stamps on the 4th of this month. I went to freaking Walmart, to do grocery shopping. The eggs, they were fucking like just gone. Like someone had came in and bought up all the fucking eggs.
Yeah.
And I got maybe like one carton, and where the other cartons were, it was like bare. And I was talking to one of the stockers there, and he said he goes, I guess it's now supply and demand.
Well, the funny part is 2 years ago, egg prices were so insane that it was like, my wife said it was like $8 for a dozen eggs.
Yeah, I paid about $6 for a dozen eggs.
That's a little. That's about twice the price of what we're used to paying, because we're used to paying what, about $3-4 here.
Yeah.
But then again, I like the jumbo eggs, not those itty bitty chicken eggs that you eat. I'm talking about the jumbo eggs. They cost.
Well, these were the grade AA large eggs.
Yeah, no, the eggs I get are bigger than that. They are just the jumbo eggs they sell at Dillon's, the huge ones.
Yeah.
You crack 3 eggs, you can make an omelet with just 3 eggs instead of cracking 6 eggs. If you could control the government, where would you increase funding the most, and where would you save and cut the most money? Where would I increase funding the most, and where would I save and cut the most money? I'd have to say I'd cut government pay. Cut congressional pay, because they vote to give themselves pay increases, and then they have to wait till the next term when they all get sworn in again to get that pay increase. And if you're not there and you're the one who started the bill, you're still screwed out of all the money, all the extra money you put in motion.
Yeah.
Because the salary for a government employee should not exceed that of the median wage of a worker in their state. That's literally what it's. I read up on it. That's literally what it's supposed to be. But then they changed it so that they could vote to give themselves raises.
Yeah.
I don't see any any member of Congress needing to make more than $40,000 a year. And now that everybody's using all these, face-to-face services, they don't need to meet on the floor of Congress. Stay in your own fucking state, handle your laws there, introduce one-subject bills. But and where would I put more funding into? I would probably put more funding into
education.
education, I would say, being one of the bigger bets, but I would have to. I would say I would put some funding into one, college education to redo the system. Like the system that exists now is bullshit. And then two, elementary and middle school education programs.
Yeah.
Because
You see,
we have so much from those, and teachers are like, well,
Yeah.
we don't get paid enough. And yes, I've run into quite a few teachers who like, well, I don't have kids. The rest of us do, and you're making shit harder for us. Like, my daughter has learned half of her math learning is Common Core math. I'm like, who needs to learn how to build an airplane from the seats out?
Yeah. And Swamp Rose just said they shouldn't control the legislation and make insider trades on the markets. That's a very valid point. You know, that's how Pelosi and her husband got rich. Huh?
They're not actually supposed to do that. I've got to take a brief intermission here for like 15 seconds, okay? You
Okay.
keep talking. I can still hear you. I turned my computer off.
But yeah, you know, that's how Pelosi and her husband got rich, was from insider trading. Which I don't understand. Yes, Swamp, in your own opinion, I understand that. But you got these congressmen and women getting rich from insider trading. They shouldn't be doing that. Pelosi, I mean, my gosh, Pelosi's like, she is ancient. She's like 82 or 83 years old. And her and her husband got
rich off of insider trading. They got rich out of him being a stock market analyst.
yeah,
I think a stockbroker or some shit. She was wealthy. She came from a wealthy family and decided to be a lawyer. Yes, I actually looked it up. Because I wanted to know when I heard about the insider trading that they were doing, which is illegal anyway.
yeah,
To look up where they both got their money. He has always been in the stock market, and she was always a high dollar lawyer from a wealthy family. So it's not
Yeah.
like they're poor at all. She's never been poor, ever.
no.
So yeah,
Without objection.
You know, there's a lot of talk going about talking about qualifications and then about us hiring him if we are the board. But there's a lot of senators here I wouldn't have on my board because there is no qualifications except your age, and you got to be living in the state and you're a citizen of the United States to be a senator. Other than the fact we got to convince a lot of people to vote for us. And then when we start talking about qualifications for if you're qualified for it, could the chairman tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense? Mr. Chairman, could you tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense?
I'd be happy for
I'll read it.
for you to do
yeah,
that. Yeah.
Let me read it for you because I Googled
I
it.
was getting some advice from
I
my
understand
second
that.
in command.
Yeah, but I'm just making a point because there's a lot about qualifications, and I think it's so hypocritical of senators, especially on the other side of the aisle, be talking about his qualifications, not going to lead the secretary or be the Secretary of Defense, and yet your qualifications aren't any better. You guys aren't any more qualified to be the senator than I'm qualified to be the senator, except we're lucky enough to be here. But let me read you what the qualifications of the Secretary of Defense is, because I Googled it, and went through a lot of different sites, and really it's hard to see. But in general, the U.S. Secretary of Defense position is filled by a civilian. That's it. If you have served in the U.S. Army Forces and have been in the service for, you have to be retired for at least 7 years, and Congress can weigh that. And then there's questions that the senator from Massachusetts brought up about serving on a board inside the military industry, and yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon. But I guess that's okay because that's a Democrat Secretary of Defense.
They did,
But
the
we so
Republicans did the
quickly
same
forget
thing.
about that. And then Senator Kane,
What, Carl?
Do you not remember the Republicans doing the exact same thing when Trump was president?
Yeah.
Well, it's because he's a Democrat. No, it's because that's the way it is now. What do you both think Trump should do about California wildfire and future controls of the wildfires? I'd lock up a fuckload of people who are known to be pyromaniacs.
Yeah, because I know Adam Carolla, he has come out and he has stated that with as much damage that there is to Los Angeles, it's going to be a really hard to rebuild, practically impossible to rebuild. And you have Gavin Newsom, which I talked to you about this the other day. He has come out and said that he wants to build the first all AI city.
Okay, now, can I ask you a dumb question?
Yeah.
And we're going on this wildfire in tangent, okay?
Okay.
Now, I heard reports tonight, as I'm sure you did, that this is going to cost some $36 billion it would cost like some $36 billion or $300 billion
Yeah.
to rebuild all the houses and everything, right?
Yeah.
Now, I actually looked this up tonight. Do you know how much home insurance is in Los Angeles?
How much?
$131 a month. It costs us more than that here.
Yeah.
Now, if you're paying your home insurance and you pay it all year long for 40 years, you end up with less than $80,000.
Wow.
That will not rebuild the house that you bought for $150,000, and that's what I think is a joke. Because if, like, where was it, the Glen Oaks or wherever the hell all these celebrities are living at?
In the Palisades. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the Palisades, the Glen whatever area that all like Jamie Lee Curtis and shit lived in.
No, she lives in the Palisades.
Then she has more than one home and she can't claim to be homeless.
Yeah.
But
You're talking about Brentwood?
no, Jesus, dude, I said Glen.
Okay, yeah, Glen Oaks. Glen Oaks is actually in the Palisades. So,
And it's a rich ass community.
yeah.
Now, if you think about this, you make, let's say off the bat, you make about $2 million a year, right?
Yeah.
You're paying $131 for homeowners insurance, which covers fires, floods, earthquakes, all that shit, right? Mudslides, whatnot. You know how long it would take to equal the purchase price of your home?
God.
You'd
What,
have to be
40 years?
like 300 years old.
Yeah.
You'd literally have to pay your insurance for 300 years in order to make a modest $1 million home out there.
Yeah.
I would think
Wow.
these people would be like, okay, I'm going to insure all this crap, and then I'm going to pay this outrageous premium, so that way I'm paying just as much into the system as I want out of it if something happens in my place, right?
Yeah. And
Makes
see, what was weird was weird about the insurance part is there was an insurance company there in California about a week before these fires started canceling fire protection on some of these homes.
Because they lived in a very high risk area. Most of Southern California has been going through a drought for fucking ever, and like all of the rain they got this last spring and summer,
Yeah.
washed out in the ocean. Created mudslides, all this
Wow.
devastation, all this crap. They kept like 2% of that water, and their reservoirs did not fill back. It didn't fill all the way back up. But all that water
No,
hit the ground. California. might as well just slid in the fucking ocean because now that they've had no water since then, they've gone like 9 months without rain.
Yeah.
And yeah, then some punk ass kid, I want to get rid of the cigarette, flicks it, and it starts a wildfire. Okay, well, there's an algorithm for figuring out the risk, and yes, if I'm the insurance company, and you're living in an area that's very prone or going to be prone to fires because of the fire risk, I'm not going to pick up that tab because you're not going to pay in enough to make it worth my time to pay out a multi-million-dollar settlement. It's bad business.
Yeah.
That's why when people, you need to get home insurance so that the insurance company can tell me to fuck off for 2 years, and then finally, after living hand to mouth, they finally give me a check to build half a house that I had before. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of blame. There's a lot of blame going into like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, because apparently Karen Bass, when these fires started, wasn't even in the country. She was over in Ghana, South Africa. Doing some election over there.
I read a story today saying she said when she got sworn in, she would not be leaving the country.
Now, she left the country. She flew to Ghana, South Africa. Yeah, and when she came back, after she found out that the fires were going on, she came back. She held a press conference, and I can pull the press conference up, but she didn't answer no fucking questions. She kept telling the reporters that she would have to talk to her team about what had happened, about what's going on.
Let's see if you can go this far back with your jaunted memory here. You remember when that ice storm hit a few years back, right?
Yeah, I think it was about 2013, I think it was.
It hit Texas.
Oh yeah, that's about 2015, 2016, something like that. Maybe even later, 2017.
Maybe 18 or some shit, but either way, it was a huge ice storm. It froze everything. Texas's power grid was failing, and where was the representative of Texas from Congress?
You're talking about Ted Cruz. Who
the hell else is it?
Yeah, he went to. He took his family on vacation to Mexico or some shit.
He literally, the day it hit, he was heading off to Cancun, and then comes back like a week later. It was a very ill-timed thing, but we had planned. No, you didn't. He planned that shit out so he wouldn't have to live in the cold with the rest of his constituents. The easiest explanation, no matter how absurd, is usually the correct one. In this case, he didn't want to be fucking frozen. So what did he do? I'm going to Cancun. Y'all motherfuckers freeze without me. And then when everything de-thawed and they're still having to fix the power problem, we'll do everything we can to fix it. It was just ill-timed vacation. I planned it out months and a half. No, you didn't. You knew it was going to be cold. You left.
Kiki, question: What would you do to fix the broken immigration system? Well, for one, the immigration system itself has been broken since the fucking 80s.
How about we enforce the laws we already have?
Yeah.
Effectively.
That's what I'm talking about.
We have plenty of stuff in the immigration system. Almost, 1/10 of it actually gets enforced?
Yeah.
So how about we stop looking for new legislation and actually enforce the stuff we already have in place? Just enforce it, just like with gun laws. We have plenty of gun laws. We just have to enforce them. But, people, we need to reform this. No, you just need to enforce the laws you already have. We have a shit ton of legislation that we don't enforce. If we enforced it, it might change something, right?
See, like you and I was texting you earlier, and You've got the House that came out with the Save the Girls in Sports Act, which has went on to the Senate, and apparently this fucking bill is going to pull federal funding from colleges that don't boot off transgenders from the girls' sports team.
Okay, name me 2 transgender athletes in college right now who are superstars. Name 2.
Well, they're not superstars. One's Leah Thompson, and I forgot the fucking other one, but yeah, they're not stars or anything. Okay?
I cannot name 2. You can't name 2. No 2 names just pop out and say, "Hey, I'm transgender." That tells you the scope of this stupidity. How much of the student athlete population is transgender in colleges right now?
What, like less than 10%?
Less than that. 0.1% of them are trans. Does that mean we need to make bills and introduce legislation guarding maybe 12 people?
Yeah, we're done, Swamp.
What do you think about Trump utilizing Greenland's natural resources and Canada's resources? Well, number 1, we're not going to get Greenland.
Yeah.
And number 2, I don't think we have a snowball chance in hell of getting Canada as a state, let alone a province or anything else.
No, Trump was talking about invading it.
Yeah, and the natural resources is the only reason to go after Canada.
Yeah.
Only because he wants to make other companies richer, because that means he gets kickbacks from it.
Will Taylor and Travis make it?
Honestly, I don't really care if they make it, but I hope they do. As a married man, I hope they make it. They seem like a great couple. I mean, she could be donating a lot of money towards other disasters and other causes. I don't know how much she gives normally to charity, but like Beyonce donated $2.5 million unannounced to the wildfire scenario. Who would you like to run for president in 2028?
Anybody but JD Vance. Now I heard because of this wildfire going on, they're saying that Gavin Newsom's chances for president may be a fleeting thought.
They kind of flatlined. Me, for one, I hope Buttigieg runs.
Yeah.
I would hope he would run because he is so well spoken. He's quiet.
Yeah.
He debates in a normal mode of speech, very quiet, but he makes such excellent points that even when people try to override him, he sits there and waits for them to be done. And then when they get done with their ranting and raving, he makes a few points in a quiet voice and completely fucking just annihilates their argument.
Yeah, see,
I've seen like 3 different debates he's had on YouTube in a group session. Everybody who's a pro-Trumper who's solidly against him and they berate him and all this crap, he responds and wins them over in 30 seconds. They come to the table hating him, wishing he would die, and they walk away shaking his hand, thanking him for enlightening them. That's the president we need.
Yeah. Now they have been talking about Kamala. Kamala is stating that she might run for governor somewhere, but with how her presidential run went, do you really think she would win a governor's race?
If she is going to run, I don't think she should go for a governor race right now. I think what she needs to do is sit back, bide her time, and work on building a presidential run, and she's going to run for president. Not worry about Congress, worry about building, because she didn't have that much time to build up her support.
No, 90 days.
And if she takes the time out to do everything correctly, and she could even be backed by the exact same people, but she needs to come, if she's going to run for president, devote her time to that. I don't care if she goes back to lawyering and being a high-priced attorney or whatever. Start building. If she's going to become president in 2028, she needs to start like fucking now, not 3 months before the presidential race is over, or a year before. Start making your bid for that argument now, so you don't have to worry about being rushed. Do I think she did an awesome job with the time she had? Absolutely. But as I pointed out to you many times, 13 million less people voted in this presidential race than they did the time before that. That's a lot of people skipping out.
Wow.
Like they just didn't vote. Well, Kamala's got this in the bag, or I don't like Kamala because she's got a snooty laugh. Concentrate on the stuff that's important. Concentrate on what's best for the country. Not just you, but the entire country. What's best for the welfare of the entire United States. Not for the richest, not for the wealthiest, not for any particular race, creed, color, racial background, any of that crap. What's best for America as a whole? I think that's where Barack Obama slam dunked it, because he wasn't thinking in terms of wealthy people and poor people, or companies versus ordinary folks who don't own who own small businesses. He was concentrating on what was best for the entire country, and he went to bat with Congress. Should America continue financing Ukraine's war? I think we need to scale it back, but what's your opinion?
Well, I read an article today, actually, like right before we went live, and it stated that right now, as we speak, Ukraine's army is bigger than Russia's right now. So, I mean, if that's really the case, if that's really true, then why isn't this war already over if Ukraine's army is now bigger than Russia's?
Because Putin is using oligarchs to fund his side of the war. These are unbelievably rich and corrupt people trying to keep Putin in power. That way they stay in power.
Yeah, and
Ukraine is just
now
trying to
what did you?
Ukraine.
Yeah. Now, what did you think about Biden giving George Soros the Medal of Freedom?
I don't think he should have given the Medal of Freedom to Soros or Clinton. Personally, that's just my opinion. There were a couple who got the medal who totally fucking deserved it. I think
Liz Cheney.
I could see Liz Cheney getting the award because she stood up against. She went against the whole stream of her entire party, except for like 3 damn people, and said no to Trump. I think that's a lot more courage than agreeing and just going party line.
Yeah, you see him with George Soros, who is actually behind, is called the Open Society. He's the one that funds all the progressive DAs and mayors and lawyers. Did you know
that Soros was come at by Trump when he was running for president the first time? He asked Soros to back him, and Soros, depending on which story you believe, he told Trump to have a nice day and flipped him off.
Wow. Okay. Do you think Kamala lost the election because Biden didn't step down sooner?
It's one of the 5 big factors of it, yes.
Okay. Jimmy Carter's funeral. Obama was very friendly with Trump and Kamala was clearly not happy. What do you think about Obama-friendly exchange with Trump?
It's supposed to be something. It's supposed to be an occasion where everybody's supposed to get
Cordial?
along.
Yeah, cordial.
Yeah. It's
But,
supposed
I mean-
to be cordial and not trying to use brownie points. It's like when it's like the reports about the Republicans making sure that flags are flown at full mast instead of half mast, because Trump doesn't think it's right and it's disgraceful that flags will be flown half mast. I'm sorry, this isn't about your ego. This is about a man who already served long before you were in the White House.
No,
And his
I
policies were 40 years ahead of their
Yeah.
time.
Now, I did actually read an article, I think it was a couple of days ago. Somehow Mike Johnson, the day of the inauguration, got them to break the rule of the half staff for that day.
I don't think that's going to happen, but
No.
you go ahead and believe what you want. You're reading
Yeah, I know.
articles, like you read that article about the 22nd Amendment, and
Yeah.
clearly it was written by somebody who supports Trump or is trying to find loopholes that Trump
Yeah.
can exploit, which he can't legally or constitutionally do.
Yeah. This guy, he's a very solid Democrat. His name is Stephen A. Smith, and
Trust me, I know who he is.
do you like him or do you not like him?
I'm kind of in the middle about him. He makes good points in certain when he's on like a sports program. He's
Yeah.
kind of iffy, but on politics, he leans more to the left, which I do like because he's more open to certain things than like a hard right Republican.
Yeah. This was about 3 weeks ago. Is where I stand on VP Kamala Harris, the current state of American politics.
Him on Patriot Radio on Sirius XM, channel 125. He's been a phenomenal host there for years. Nevertheless, I appeared on his show, Life, Liberty, and Levin, which airs on Fox News on Saturday
not
nights
Levin.
and Sunday nights. And while I was there, I gave my thoughts on the 2024 election and expressed some regret about what has transpired with the Democrats and Vice President Kamala Harris. And I've said this on many, many occasions. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Democratic Party. I said it on Life, Liberty, and Levin to Mark Levin himself. I've said it to this audience on various occasions. I'm saying it again now. Nobody's backing up from it. Nevertheless, I have to tell you that, and I don't blame Mark Levin for this, but did you see the headline on Fox News? Did you see it? Did you see it? In case you didn't see it, put it up there for us, folks. Let them see it right there. Look at that headline right there. Stephen A. Smith regrets backing Vice President Harris, open to voting GOP, not interested in the fear-mongering. Before I go to the actual clip of what I literally said, so I can show you all myself, let me state for the record, I throw no fault in the direction of Mark Levin for the headlines. As a reporter, as a commentator and pundit throughout the years, there have been many, many times where I have said something and having no responsibility for the headlines whatsoever. The headlines didn't completely accurately portray what I had said. So if I've gone through that, I'm certainly not going to blame Mark Levin, nor would I ever accuse him of misrepresenting me. Just like I've been friends with Sean Hannity for over 20 years, that also applies to Mark Levin, who I've also known now pretty much 20 plus years. So he is a friend. He is somebody that I communicate with often. No, we do not agree on a lot of our politics, just as is the case for Sean Hannity. But I
That's a
respect those
shocker.
guys, and I've known them for years, and they've always watched my back, always. And I always appreciate that, and I'm always going to do the same for them. So it's not about that. But it is important that you all know exactly what I said, because headlines like that turn to go viral. So, without further ado, this is just a small clip
Because
of
that
Mark
headline
Levin
was
asking
clickbait.
me the question that he asked, and I want you to listen to my answer. Here it is.
Stephen A. Smith, so could you see yourself seeing what you see now? And obviously Donald Trump can't run for president again, but if he could, under the current circumstances, could you see yourself voting for him?
Quite possibly. I'm not going to sit up there and dismiss that anymore. I think we're beyond that. He would have to prove a lot, Mark. And I'm not talking about policy now. For a second, allow me to say this. What concerned me about Donald Trump, and the reason I voted against him and voted for Kamala Harris, was because I felt that he would be divisive, that he would create chaos because he demands such a level of loyalty and fealty to him. And that would take priority over governing our nation. That was my concern. And so I'm looking for both sides to work across the aisle from one another. Having said that, when you see some of the things that he said, if he follows through on some of the things that he has said, it's not just about eradicating inflation, improving the economy, obviously controlling our borders. These are all things that I care about, make no mistake about that. And I certainly would support him in that regard. But it can't be just about fealty to him and loyalty to him. It has to be about getting the job done on behalf of what's in the best interest of the American people, as opposed to yourself, and not engaging in the kind of juvenile tendencies, tweeting all the time and going after people who are really much irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. You do things like that and you show that you're the adult in the room. Yeah. I don't think anybody could dismiss Donald Trump at this particular moment in time, not just because of him, but because of what we've seen the Democrats do. That is what I said. Anywhere in that headline, did you hear me say, I regret voting for Kamala Harris? You did not hear me say that. But
I don't know what the hell that was. I
understand how it's a fine line, because I do have my trepidations and feelings of disgust when it comes to the Democratic Party, how they handled things leading up to the election, how they handled the year prior to the election with Joe Biden refusing to step away and going back on his word to be a transitional president. Okay, I don't like the fact that, you know, they got $1.5 billion and, you know, next thing you know, we're looking for where the money went. I don't like the fact that people like Oprah Winfrey and others were paid before doing interviews with Kamala Harris. I don't like a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of it smells. But I think it's important to make this point. And this is directly aimed at conservative media. It may be because they've been vilified for years and they've found themselves to be at a distinct disadvantage when it comes to the leftists on the media side. I get that part. But it doesn't negate the fact that when it comes to conservative media, they won't hesitate to misrepresent your words a bit for a better pro-Trump, anti-Democrat headline, because indeed they like having prominent, influential voices come over to their way of thinking. To some of them, not all, not most, but to some of them, it's like, oh my goodness, you know, there are a lot of folks out there, you know, that do think like us, that do side with us, that do favor our mode of thinking. And we're not as alienated as you think. And I think there's a lot of folks within conservative media that are prone to doing something like that, just like you can look on the left, because the liberal media will misrepresent your words in a heartbeat to make you seem more extreme and to work very, very hard to tie you in with the Trump and the MAGA folks. We've seen that happen to me on both sides. So, you know, I just felt the need to say that because it's important that people understand. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to have it put up on the screen every time I'm on this show and I'm talking politics. I am an independent.
Exactly.
I am not a Democrat. So I ain't apologizing for anything anti-Dem that I may say. Nor am I a Republican. And I'm certainly not apologizing for that. I have things that I am conservative about, and I have things I am liberal about. I am a staunch conservative when it comes to my money. I'm a fiscal conservative. You damn right. I ain't apologizing to nobody. My man Brandon's in the You got a problem with that, B? I don't have a problem. You got a problem with that? Betty, you got a problem with that? Yeah, you better not have a problem with it. I am a fiscal conservative. I can't stand these damn high taxes in New York, New Jersey, and California. Okay? So trust you me, anytime I can get away with moving to another place and not having to pay them damn taxes, I'm not going to hesitate. Let's get that out the way. But I'm very liberal when it comes to living and let living. It doesn't matter whether I approve or disapprove, whether I like or don't like. I believe in living and let living. That's how I roll. gay rights, abortion rights, whatever the case may be, live your life. Live your life. You understand? You want to be transgender, go ahead and be transgender. You're a gay individual, go ahead, live your life. Now, when you try to say you're a guy and that you're transitioning into being a lady and you want to compete against women, now we got a problem. Because I think that puts women at a distinct disadvantage. That's how I feel about it. That's me looking out for women. That's not me going up against somebody that's transgender. But I digress. I want to get back to my bigger point. And my bigger point is, once again, I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that the headline didn't accurately depict what I had said to Mark Levin. If I wanted to call out Vice President Kamala Harris like that, I would. I'm the guy that went at former President Barack Obama for talking down to black men, claiming it must be misogyny if you didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I didn't appreciate that. But that's what it is. I just want to make sure that we're clear. Nobody's backing up or apologizing for who I am and where I stand. And as I look at President-elect Donald Trump coming into office, let me be very, very clear about what I support when it comes to him. So we're not misconstruing anything. I support eradicating inflation. I support lowering taxes. I support closing our borders. I support prioritizing national security. Yes, I do. I'm not going to go with his words about Law and Order, but damn it, it's one of my favorite shows for a reason. I like it. I believe in law and order. And I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. So everything that Donald Trump has preached about, I'm not against. Which is why if he acts right and doesn't engage in pettiness and don't put incompetence in cabinet positions and stuff like that, I'm going to support the president. I don't want him to fail. I want him to succeed as long as it means the country succeeds, not him.
Yeah, but he doesn't look at it countrywide. Trump only looks at it as his successes, his failures. He doesn't even want to do that. Should we limit foreign entities from purchasing U.S. land? We're supposed to be doing that already, as far as I know.
Yeah, and she goes, bridges or tunnels?
I don't know what bridges and tunnels means, but...
Now, what is SM?
Social media.
Okay. If yeah, a little or a lot, follow up. Should the FBI work in social media offices for public safety? Now, are we talking about but this was before Musk bought Twitter, because we heard that the FBI was corresponding with Twitter because of the whole pandemic.
Well, I think in this case, given today's conversation, I think that they should have people with moral and legal scruples, if they're going to have anybody, to moderate social media sites, if they're going to do that at all. Because I have been on Truth Social, I was on X before I left it, and X became a complete fucking shit show, like Wimkin and Truth Social before it, and all these places turned into Republican extremist echo chambers, where they're just going to push and push and push and push myths and disinformation, outright lie to you, and then tell you that it's okay because it's covered by freedom of speech. Telling us that President Trump will fix everything in one damn term. He already had one term to fix it. He didn't fix anything.
Yeah, and now I guess the ByteDance, which is owned by the Chinese Communist Party, the Xi Jinping is trying to get Elon Musk to purchase Twitter, so Twitter don't close.
Okay,
but you have Mr.
Repeat that thing again.
Xi Jinping, who's the president of China, wants Elon. They are courting Elon Musk to buy to buy TikTok.
I was going to say, you
And-
just said he trying to get him to buy Twitter. He already
Yeah, I'm
owns
sorry. I meant
It's not like,
TikTok.
what the hell, dude? He already owns it. Why
I
would
meant
they
TikTok.
why would they be incentivizing him to buy that?
I meant TikTok.
I don't think he's going to buy. I don't think he should be allowed to buy TikTok, because if he buys TikTok, I'm leaving TikTok.
And well, Mr. Beast is actually also interested in buying TikTok.
Mr. Beast, I'm not excited about, but he'd probably be a better choice than fucking Musk. Musk is literally a fucking a teenager who got high while playing D&D and decided to buy a social media company and then say he's a free speech absolutist. And then he uses all of his power on Twitter to publicly beat a dead horse of voting for Trump and getting the Department of Government Efficiency going.
Dogecoin.
And getting Dogecoin more popular, because Trump now backs cryptocurrency and says this is the wave of the future.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency is a fucking fad at this point. People
Yeah.
get into it and out of it all the time.
Yeah,
And
Trump is
usually it's
actually.
only rich trading in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, Trump is actually, I guess, courting on day one, doing an executive order for crypto.
Yeah, well, he also said he would use a presidential, whatever, executive order
Yeah.
to bring TikTok back. It's like, dude, it's already going to be, according to everything done so far, the TikTok ban goes into effect the day before he
19th.
gets inaugurated, so he can't do shit about that.
Yeah, and I guess the Senate is trying to get the TikTok ban delayed because they were talking about that today in between their confirmation hearings.
Who are the motherfuckers who try to get it banned in the first place?
Republicans.
Hardline conservative Republicans. Because, China can come in at any point and take any information they want because they're based in China. What did the owner of ByteDance say?
No, the owner of ByteDance said that they are not affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party.
And that China has not requested any information from them, right?
Right.
So this hardline bullshit Republican thing of, well, they pose a risk to national security by having a bunch of trans women and teenagers and fucksticks make videos about their likes and dislikes. I'm on TikTok. I don't consider it it's more of a relaxer for me. I wind down the night with TikTok. Like, from 10:50 to like 11:15, I watch TikTok videos. Then I turn the shit off and listen to Audible and listen to a book going to bed. It's kind of a dessert thing, you know. I've got serious content creators that I follow on TikTok.
Yeah.
And yes, I have downloaded Red. What the hell's that thing?
Red
I
One.
downloaded Lemonade.
Red One or something.
Give me a second. I've already downloaded Lemonade and Red Note.
Red.
And a lot of people have started using both those sites. I decided I would follow the trend. I don't mainly go live on either one of those or make videos for either one of those. At least not like my usual channel on YouTube, The Skeptical Scotsman, because I don't trust people to use my content appropriately. Like my other channel on YouTube, The Shroud Effect, it's for comedy. It's for the lighter side of life. That's why I post videos of like my daughter opening stuff on there. It's not meant to be taken seriously. It's meant to be, more fluffy, more fun.
Yeah.
The Skeptical Scotsman is for funny, if I want it to be, or very hardline political stuff, or
Yeah.
fucking real issues. The Shroud effect is for the lighter side of it.
Kind of like Chris Almighty.
Should be able to shoot down drones.
Should we be able to shoot down drones?
You go first on that one.
Well, I haven't seen any drones here. I know I've heard that there's been drones in New Jersey and other places like that. So, I think we should be able to shoot down drones if they're like impeding with us. Because I don't understand why we're having these drones anyway in New Jersey and other places like that. And a lot of people say that there was drones spotted over air bases and shit like that, and I don't know.
Okay. Can I elucidate on something you said already?
Yeah.
You said you don't see drones around up in the air a lot.
Yeah.
You're actually where you live. They're actually allowed to fly drones.
Oh wow.
Where I live, they're not actually allowed to fly drones, like legally. You know why?
Why?
Because I live close to McConnell Air Force Base.
Ah.
I live less than 5 miles away, meaning you cannot fly a drone more than like 100 feet off the ground without the military coming down and finding your ass for it. So, yeah. Grimes and Elon are having... Who the hell is Grimes?
I guess it's Elon's girlfriend or some shit.
Does Elon need another kid?
No.
Doesn't he have like 9 children by now?
I know he claims that his
He only acknowledges, what, 2 of his kids?
yeah, and he claims his son is like a victim of the woke mind virus or whatever the hell.
Because that kid doesn't bow at his feet and kiss his ass?
I guess.
What should we do to help our neighbors in Mexico control the flow of fentanyl? Well, I don't think we should do anything to help Mexico. I think Mexico needs to do its own legislative work and then its own stuff to stopping the flow of fentanyl into their country coming to our country.
Yeah.
That's just me. I don't know about your opinion, but my opinion is Mexico needs to do it for themselves. They need to fucking start cracking down on shipments of fentanyl or precursors for fentanyl into their own country.
Yeah. I mean, after all, they have a new president. No, I don't understand how Mexico can elect a female president, but we cannot.
Because we're still playing good versus bad and what's best for party line instead of what's best for the entire country. Look at Mike Johnson. He is first and foremost. He said unequivocally that his first and foremost responsibility is being a Christian. We're not responsible for what religion he is, what God he follows. That shouldn't be governing us. Governing us is taking. We respect your religion, but that's not our religion. That's not this country is not built on Christianity. All of the forefathers said that. All of them.
And you have like the question I asked you yesterday about praying on the floor of the Senate, and you said they're entitled to.
They've been doing it for decades.
Now, do they pray all the time, or do they pray like once in a while?
From what I understand, they prayed right before a session. The bitch of it is does that mean that Ilhan Omar, does she get to throw her prayer rug out and pray to Allah?
No.
Then it's really not a moment of prayer, is it?
No, well, like she's in the Congress side. On the Senate side, I was watching like the last couple of days.
Congress and the Senate and the House make up Congress. Congress isn't made from those two houses. Those two houses make up Congress.
Yeah, well, on the Senate side, the last couple of days, before they had this gentleman come in, the chaplain there, for the Capitol, and like right towards the end, and he said, "Oh, Heavenly Father, guide both the House and the Senate, and guide them in your work that needs to be done. Guide them in your work your work and your love that needs to be done for this country."
Do you see any of the MAGAs using their religion to positively improve life here?
No.
Then what do you give a shit? They're praying to a false. They're praying to something that's not going to help them govern. It will influence what they decide to govern in.
Yeah.
It will influence what laws, which is not the original intent of it anyway. Practice your religion at home. I didn't get that question. What is your opinion about China hacking out the U.S. Treasury?
You're hacking our U.S. Treasury.
There's a guy paid to track that, and apparently he's not tracking it well enough.
Wow.
We have an entire team of cybersecurity experts. You keep talking. I gotta go for a second.
Okay.
Just keep talking. I can still hear you.
Okay, well, I'm gonna finish that video I was playing.
Or I guess I better use the senator from Virginia starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No. But it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because the man's made a mistake. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke. I mean, it is so ridiculous that you guys hold yourself as this higher standard and you forget you got a big plank.
These are the same people who, if a Democrat has done any of those things, they all go balls deep, shouting and screaming at that person for being unqualified and being immoral, too immoral to take up that position, right?
Right.
So who's wearing the hypocrisy hat now?
Yeah.
Him.
And you got old Tommy Tuberville in the background, freaking look like he's about ready to laugh his ass off.
He looks like he's watching somebody fuck a duck on his phone. Continue. I just wanted to make a point.
It's so ridiculous that you guys hold yourself as this higher standard and you forget you got a big plank in your eye. We've all made mistakes. I've made mistakes. And Jennifer, thank you for loving him through that mistake. Because the only reason why I'm here and not in prison is because my wife loved me too.
The only reason you're not in prison?
I have changed, but I'm not perfect. But
yeah, he said the only reason why he's there is, go back.
It makes you wonder how he got qualified to run for Congress then.
Yeah, Markwayne Mullin is a former mixed martial artist, or he's a mixed he's an MMA person. And I don't know if he's actually fought in UFC, but apparently he's fought like in like Bellator and shit like that.
Oh, really low class places then.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I have changed, but I'm not perfect. But I found somebody that thought I was perfect. And for whatever reason, you love Pete, and I don't know why. But just like our Lord and Savior forgave me, my wife's had to forgive me more than once too, and I'm sure you've had to forgive him too. And so thank you. So before I go down this rabbit hole again, tell me something about your wife that you love.
She's the smartest, most capable, loving, humble, honest person I've ever met.
Then why isn't she running for your office?
In addition to being incredibly beautiful.
Again, why isn't she running for your office?
Don't forget about your kids. I'm supposed to talk about my kids?
No, well, she's also the mother.
Oh, an amazing mother.
Yes.
Of our
Do they have
blended
to
family.
remind him of
seven
that?
Brother, I'm
kids, all
pulling
of
you
which love
along.
her.
I'm trying to help you here.
When they have to remind him to mention his kids,
Yeah.
that tells you all you need to know right there. She's a smart. Then why the fuck isn't she in your shoes right now? Why isn't she going for that job? Because he has a penis and she doesn't. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I've noticed in all these confirmation hearings, you've had, mind you, you've had the Democrats, you've had the Democrats coming in like Pete Hegseth. They were coming at him hard. You had this one lady, I can't remember her name now, but yeah.
This guy is Mr. Mullen is slathering the dude in butter.
Mullen's a Republican.
I know. I'm saying he's slathering him in butter and calling him a fucking baked potato.
Yeah. And he was asked to
give him a wraparound and a hand job.
Yeah, Hegseth was asked about his comments about pulling the active duty card from women in the armed services.
Yeah, apparently he's backed off from that quite a bit now.
I think he's lying.
Well, keep playing this clip to see how much dumber it gets.
Do you believe that you're going to be running the Secretary or the Department of Defense by yourself?
Senator, absolutely not. Just as President Trump is assembling his cabinet, I look forward and already am in the process of building one of the best possible teams you can imagine, with decades and decades of experience outside the Pentagon, driving innovation and excellence, and also inside the building, knowing how to make it happen. Yes, sir.
That means Hegseth won't know what's going on in the Pentagon.
In your organizations that you did have the privilege of running, did you have a board that you...
In both organizations, we had a board, yes.
Okay, and what did you do with that board? What kind of decisions did you make with them?
Those boards provided oversight and insight into decision-making.
They all have special, unique sets that maybe filled gaps that you're not the expertise in?
Yes, sir.
So do you believe you're capable of surrounding yourself with capable individuals that you're going to be able to run those same ideas by, and surround yourself with people that are smarter and better equipped in maybe areas that you don't necessarily carry those expertise with?
That's a whole lot of people.
Senator, the only reason I've had success in life, to include my wonderful wife, is because of people more capable around me and having the self-confidence to empower them and say, hey, run with the ball, run with the football.
Then why the hell aren't all these people running
We'll
for
do
the
this
office?
together.
Instead of
I don't
him?
care who gets the credit.
Yeah.
And in this case, that's how the Pentagon will be run.
Let's end with this, Mr. Chairman, about the qualifications. You got a man who has literally put his butt on the line. He served 20 years in the service, multiple deployments, has heard the bullets crack over the top of his head, has been willing to go into combat, been willing to see friends die for this country. And he's willing to still put himself through this. His wife is willing to still stand beside him.
What's the one thing that's missing from that list of accolades he's throwing out right now?
I don't know. Professional kiss ass.
No. If you're listening to Mullins talk, you didn't once hear him say a highly decorated combat veteran.
No, he didn't.
He didn't even mention how many times he's been promoted or decorated for anything. It's just he knows how. He
Thank
knows
you, Mr. Chairman.
Like whiz by.
Ms. Bundy, I know.
Sorry. Now you and I was talking about yesterday about the protest, the protest, right? And how Bondi was talking about 1501.
I was gonna say, just roll the clip, man.
Know that you are pleased that we are to the end of round one. And we appreciate your being here. And I appreciate that you told my California colleagues you were willing to work with them, even in light of the manner in which they have approached you. Now, one thing I think we need to have everybody understand that is watching this hearing today, and everyone sitting in here, what we have witnessed over the last 4 years with a weaponized DOJ. My colleagues have talked about this, and the American people know this. They know what was carried out against President Trump and his administration, and in November, they voted to see an end to 2 tiers of justice, 2 tiers of treatment, 2 tiers of access, because they have absolutely had it with the lies, with the accusations, and with the attacks that have come against so many people who were just seeking to live their lives. And then all of a sudden found the FBI or another federal agency or the DOJ knocking at their door. You know, Ms. Bondi, it would make you believe that my colleagues have learned nothing from the elections in November. They don't see this as a movie script that someone may have liked to write. What they see is this is real life. And they want a restoration to equal justice, equal access, equal treatment, abiding by the rule of law. Many of us have talked today about making America safe again. And in Tennessee, I hear a good bit about this. And as we've discussed your nomination, one of the things I've mentioned to people is your career as a prosecutor. And you have touched on that some today. And you are bringing that insight of being a prosecutor to bear. And I do appreciate that. Now, one thing that I think is noteworthy, and in preparation for the hearing, I looked some of these numbers up. During President Trump's first term, violent crime in this country actually fell. It fell by 17%. And in the first 2 years of the Biden administration, it soared by 43%.
Those are numbers that are made up.
This is crime that is taking place in all of our communities. We've seen a rise, whether it's California or Tennessee. We have seen a rise. So I want you to talk
like, where do they pull these
to
numbers
Tennesseans,
out?
to Californians, to all Americans about what you're going to do to get this crime rate down in this country.
Senator, thank you for that question. And despite the questions from Senator Schiff, I look forward to working with you and the state of California to do everything we can to fight violent crime in California. And you know as well as I, that crime is only going to go through the roof now after these forest fires. You're going to have looting, you're going to have price gouging, you're going to have so many things that I have dealt with in the state of Florida, and I am committed to working with California just as much as I am committed to working with you, Senator Kennedy, in the tragedy that just took place in Louisiana, given all the human beings that were murdered in your state. And we have the Super Bowl coming up in less than 3 weeks now, I believe, Senator. I've been a little busy. But we've got to ensure, if I'm confirmed, that everyone in this country is safe. And I will work with you. I will work with you, Senator. I will work with all of you in this country for everything that Senator Blackburn said. We have got to reduce violent crime, and we have got to restore integrity to our law enforcement officers.
Integrity,
Donald Trump, we keep saying he won this election by 77.3 million votes and 312 electoral votes. Look at the map of California, Senator Schiff. It's bright red, the popular vote, for a reason. People want law and order. They want to be safe so they can go to take their children to school, so they can go to church, Senator Hawley.
Sure.
People want safe streets. Of course we care about our...
Okay, go ahead.
Brain cells listening. This is like listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why do you think I left fucking Twitter? I didn't leave it to hear her ass be like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Violent crime is now on the rise because Biden got in office. No, it actually went down. Violent crime actually rose up during Trump's time and went down during Biden's time.
She's gonna be our Attorney General.
Again, we're fucked. Literally and exactingly, we are fucked as a country. Clown-chewed motherfuckers who avoid every possible chance to give a concise, reasonable, logical, adult answer, and then go, well, we need to be this, we need to be that. You're none of those things, though. Your past doesn't tell us anything about that. It tells us you are petty, you are a fucking moron, and you're just like all the other Trumpites.
Yep.
At least have some fucking convictions. Have some moral codes. At least follow the goddamn law. If they did that, they wouldn't be backing Trump.
Yeah. I forgot his name. Chuck Schumer has after each after each confirmation hearing, Chuck Schumer has been going on the floor of the Senate, warning the other senators about these picks, and no one is freaking listening to him.
Well, when everything's being run by Republicans, what do you expect? Anybody to fucking listen to a little common sense?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the dividing problems of our country right now, is that everybody thinks you need to be red or blue party, and I am neither. I am strictly what's best for the country and what's best for the locality of the voting pool voting. In the case of a presidential election, I go for what's best for the country. If it's as far as the state goes, I go what's best for the state. When it comes to the city, I go what's best for all of us, not just the rich Koch brothers or anybody else.
Yeah. Hey, I want to play you this quick clip before we end the live. It's it's freaking
I'm interested in trying these new
talking
weight
about
loss
Hegseth.
shots, but I need it to be more affordable because my insurance.
Democrats remain focused on President Trump's cabinet hearings starting today with the hearing of Pete Hegseth to be Secretary of Defense. If today's hearing is a sense of what's to come, we are deeply concerned. It's no secret Mr. Hegseth has some incredibly troubling allegations against him. He is, by all accounts, woefully unfit to be Secretary of Defense. So much so that my colleague Senator Reid requested to allow all committee members to review all FBI background documents. Chairman Wicker said no. What's he afraid of? What are they afraid of? If Mr. Hegseth had nothing to hide, and if Republicans do indeed think he's qualified and ready for one of the most consequential jobs in the country, why is the chairman hell-bent to keep all relevant information out of the hands of his colleagues? To dismiss the allegations against Mr. Hegseth but then reject full transparency is at best odd, suspicious, concerning at worst. Unfortunately, Mr. Hegseth's testimony failed to address the disturbing questions that plague his nomination. So, it appears that Mr. Hegseth's strategy is to follow the 5 Ds of dodgeball: dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. That's his strategy. See the movie? Mr. Hegseth failed to explain, for one, why someone with his lack of qualifications should be entrusted to lead our armed forces. Why should America entrust our military to a television personality who has never led any large organization? No answer. Mr. Hegseth.
Now, my main goal is to get people to critically think about things, even if their final outcome isn't the same one I arrive at. But people don't know how to critically think. They don't know how to compare and contrast or anything. Most people just choose a side, and that's the side they belong to. I can't go along with that. So if I don't agree with your political views, does that make me a moron? I think I was respectful enough to listen to your views. You don't have to agree with me politically. But if you're going to go MAGA extremist, then I have the full right to say that. You can say I'm a liberal outcast or whatever you want. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. Now, what I think of people is inherently based on what they're demonstrating to me. Now, I don't know if that question was based on you or me, but I'm guessing it was based on...
she heard something about moron, and she thought you were calling her a moron.
I'm not calling any of the people here and listening and watching a moron. What I'm saying is, if you're going to go whole honcho on the MAGA bandwagon, then it does make you look like an actual moron, because you're voting against you voted against yourself in that context. You're not voting for the betterment of America. You're voting for special interest groups and billionaires. That's why I'm independent. I don't have to answer to either side.
Because you have Doug Burgum. Now listen, you have Doug Burgum. He's the governor from North Dakota, the one that was running for president, that was wanting to bring small town beliefs to America. And then you have Lee Zeldin, who's going up for the head of the EPA. And then you have a couple other people, who's going in as someone going in as energy secretary. And all three of these people don't like clean energy. Doug Burgum wants to open up federal lands for the oil companies. Lee Zeldin stated today in his confirmation hearing he wants to get rid of the red tape.
Do you remember what I told you about the suggestion for leader of the FBI?
What, Kash Patel?
No, the other guy. Was it the FBI or was it the... what position was it? Was it maybe the Attorney General or something?
Matt Gaetz?
Matt Gaetz can't be Attorney General, dumbass.
Yeah, I know. Even though he was trying.
He wouldn't have passed that anyway. He didn't have enough support. Yeah, one of the offices where you're supposed to be in charge of being, where your charge is to be a lawyer, they hired a guy who's not a lawyer, or no.
Were you talking about Ben Carson?
No, not Ben Carson, not the black guy. I'm talking about the white guy that they were talking about nominating to be like something about the Treasury or a lawyer or something.
Treasury, yeah.
A guy who doesn't have any experience being a CPA, he's never been a CPA, never even been a tax lawyer, who's got a gambling problem being in charge of, was it the head of the IRS, maybe?
I think so. I'm not sure.
I think it was the head of the IRS. They got this big, fat, white guy who's got a horrible gambling addiction and doesn't know how to do taxes, let alone tax law.
Yeah.
And leaving him in charge of the IRS, that way it crumbles upon itself. Well, that's the problem. If they're trying to do away with the IRS, if they're going to do away with the IRS, why not give it an incompetent leader? That way it crumbles. But
yeah,
it is now 10:30, and I have to get going because I have to watch.
All right, well, I'm gonna end. I'm gonna end this live stream. Thank you for coming on. You have a good night, Carl, and I will probably text you tomorrow or the next day.
Yep, I will catch you later, man, because I got to get off of here.
All right. Have a good night, man.